Hey guys, James here again, and today we are joined by the new BSA R10 TH. Now this does share a couple of things with its predecessors, and those of you that know the BSA range will recognise this very much as the traditional R10 pattern, obviously just with this new thumb hole stock, which we'll get to in a moment. Now this has very kindly been sent down by BSA. This is a prototype rifle, so there is a slight difference to this versus the production, but I'll show you that in a little bit. So thanks to them for sending it down, and cheers to the guys at the gun room for taking it in for me, so that I could bring it to you today. So what we're going to do is look through the specs, and we'll start one end and we'll work through very traditional replica reviews review, and yeah, see what this rifle is all about. Now the logical place to start with the rifle, I reckon, is going to be the stock. Now this is the main difference to previous generations, and as you can see, whilst we've kept the very iconic styling at the front end here, we have moved across to a thumb hole stock. Now BSA have done this on a couple of their models, and really good to see them coming out on the R10 line as well now. Now you can adjust, as I say, various bits and pieces on here. You can adjust the butt pad so it fits your shoulder, and you can also adjust this cheek piece. Now this is wood, it's soft touch coated, just so it's really nice. It's quite a nice feel when you've got your cheek up against it, and it's adjusted via this little button here. Now as I say, this is a prototype, so although I've got a push button on this one, the production ones, the ones that you will have an Allen key. Obviously once you've set it up, tighten it up, done. There's no fiddling, there's no faffing. It's a simpler setup, I think. Once it's tightened, it's done, rather than having to worry about a push button. So that was quite a cool feature there. Now I know from chatterings on the forums, as people have been putting pictures up, myself included, this is going to be, I wouldn't say a deal, for some people they've said it is a deal breaker, but this is the only option that you get, the black soft touch. Now a lot of people have said they don't like it, a lot of people have said they do like it. I personally really like it, and I'll tell you why. You've got these really sleek lines coming through, and this dropped curve here, I just think it just accentuates this look of the actual walnut, and it just helps highlight the fact that, you know, it's a really stylish stock. Now I appreciate, like with anything, people's choices, it's not going to be for everybody. I like it, it's nice and smooth when you're shouldering it in, and it is what it is. So that is probably one of the main differences. As I say, the thumb hole does make for a really comfortable shooting. You'll see from my HW100, I'm a fan of thumb hole stocks. It just gives me a hand a much more upright position, and it's a lot more secure. Again, my own opinion. So that's the stock, as I say, that's the main difference. So we'll move on, look at some of the other things that have been changed from previous generations of the R10. Okay, so moving on from the stock, we are going to look at the action. Now, as far as I can see from the spec list, and also from sort of previous generations of R10 that I've had, you know, limited experience with, it's pretty much the same. There's not a whole lot that's changed. So for anybody that's unfamiliar, I will just give it a quick run through. I appreciate, obviously, if you are an R10 owner, you might just want to skip ahead, but we'll go through it for anybody that's not. So it's a bolt action rifle, so it's obviously PCP, 10 round mags. So the bolt is really easy. It's a really short throw on this, which I quite like. Bring it back, cock it, back forward. It's buttery smooth. We were playing the other day in the gun room up on their range, doing a bit of speed shooting on the dueling trees, and it's laser quick. It reminds me a little bit, feel-wise at least, of the old Lee Enfield rifles. Very short throw, bring it back down, forward. It's a really nice kind of unit to use. It's not bringing it too much. I know certain guns that I've had before, day states, it just felt like the action, the throw was just, it was miles. Whereas this is a really short throw, back, smooth forward, does the job perfectly. Swapping over, you do have a safety catch as well. It's a manual safety, it's not auto. So if you leave it on safe, it's on safe. If you leave it on fire, it's on fire. Really simple to use, safe, fire. Literally as simple as that. Moving forward, obviously you've got the port here where your magazine goes in. Now this is the new and improved 10 round mags from BSA. Now when you buy this gun for the money, you get two, which I thought was really quite neat. So you get two magazines with the gun. They go in, little magnetic retainer, they just clip straight in, and then you push this back, bolt forward, and off you go. It really is that simple. Now from somebody coming from shooting FX, from day state, etc., having such a simple way of loading a mag and just putting it into the gun was actually really refreshing. Okay, so the final sort of major changes that are worth noting is the shroud. Now the shroud has changed from previous generations. It's a slightly smaller diameter, but it's not sacrificed any of its performance. It's one of the first that I've used in a while that I've just, it's quiet. You don't need to put any other moderators on it. Previous guns that I've tested for various other companies, I thought, oh, I could do with a hug it, or I could do with a better shroud, or just something needs changing. Whereas this one, I feel works perfectly well. Now, for those of you that do want to put custom shrouds on these, I'm sure there's going to be people that will produce them, and I'm sure they will be amazing. But that will be more for the bling factor than it will for kind of improving on what you've already got. This is a perfectly workable setup. Now, the only other real difference here, and this is quite a cool feature, I think, is the bottle. Now, they've changed the size of the bottle. We'll get up to a 280cc bottle. Now, what this basically allows you to achieve is an increase in your shot count. So for 22, they've gone from 250 shots from previous versions up to 340. And for 177, which this one is, you've got up from 190 shots up to 280. Now, when I tested this Thursday night, we got just shy of 300. We're a little bit above 280. We got just shy of 300 before we started noticing it doing this and dropping off. For the money and for the spec, those figures are they are really good. They put them up, I reckon, with the next tier. Now, with the price point of these at the moment, Virox, I get with my KT, I get maybe 64 shots out of that. It works out about 4 magazines before I then have to swap over to a different rifle or to refill. Whereas this one, 280 shots, and it's cheaper. So that's something to bear in mind. You're going to be able to go out in the field, out to your club, and not have to worry about refilling every 2 seconds, which for people like myself that have used smaller, I appreciate smaller size cylinders, but for that have used smaller guns, having to refill, oh, I've run out of this many shots, especially if you're having a good day on the rabbits and you're out away from your vehicle. You know, I've been on days before where we've shot loads and I've had to worry about refilling. Doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, you think, oh. However, the ability to have, you know, 280 shots or 340 if you're in 22 is pretty cool. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to load up the magazine, nice and simple to do, put a target out at 35 yards. I think it's a nice sensible range to be testing, and in normal outside conditions we are going to see how this gun performs. As I said earlier, speed wise this thing can rattle the pellets out nice and quickly and accurately, so we're going to see what we can do. So I'll put some JSB exacts in there for anybody that's interested, 8.44 grain, 177, and we'll see what this rifle can do at 35 yards.
.771. That's about 11.2.
Right, so that's the shooting. The results are in the box above. Now, as you'll see, it's a pretty tight group. Now, it's not like pellet on pellet or any of that rubbish that you see being mentioned on forums. This is a perfectly usable group. Realistically, with this gun, you're going to be hunting, you're going to be pest control work, you're going to be plinking targets if you want. That is more than usable. And as I say, 11.2 foot-pounds when we chronoed it, and the foot per second variance from the high top to high low was 8 feet per second, which, to put that in comparison, is pretty much exactly what the HW100 is doing. So that is a really consistent regulator, delivering a really efficient amount of air through at a consistent rate, which is what gives you that accuracy. Now yes, we could have tightened the groups in if we'd gone in and we bench rested it and used bipods and bags on the back and spent the time to actually work out what pellet is best for this gun. Obviously I've just used my exacts because that's what I had on hand, and I'm happy with that group. I would be happy with that group. Okay, so we've done the shooting, we've done the spec. Now what do I actually think? Now I've had various bits of experience with BSAs before, the R10s, the Ultras, and the Defiant that you've seen previously on the screen. And everything about this rifle just seems a lot more refined than previous generations. There's a lot less kind of things I would change. The bolt throw on this is a real talking point, in my opinion. It's very, very short and it's very smooth. It allows for some seriously rapid shooting. The trigger's very smooth. Everything about the stock is just comfortable. It just comes up and holds exactly where you need it to. And one thing I will add is I've got two chaps out with a shooting today. They've shot before with me, and the first thing both of them said was, "Oh, it's not as heavy as I thought it was going to be." It looks heavier than it actually is. And I'll tell you what, it's a really comfortable thing. I could see me carrying that around a farm quite happily without using a sling or anything like that. Now I know the cheek piece is going to polarise opinion. It's functional. Now I quite like the fact that it breaks up the line of the walnut and just highlights how kind of stylish this has been made. It's very smooth against the cheek. It's practical. It does what it needs to do. Now yeah, alright, people may have preferred a full walnut one, but remember, if you have more wood and all the rest of it, that'll up the cost. And the cost of this is absolutely spot on. Now, I understand, obviously this has been filmed before the gun has been released, that these are going to be coming out at sub £1,000, with one retailer suggesting to me probably about £950. That's a hell of a lot of gun for, alright, a lot of money, but not a lot of money when you put it in perspective. This, with the rises from Viroc, Daystate, etc., I reckon will really open this rifle up to be the next kind of contender for that kind of top normal rifle tier. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. Now we will be doing more videos with this rifle. We're just setting up a bit of long range shooting in a second. So if you want to see that, feel free to subscribe. It will come out quite soon. If you've got any questions, any comments, anything like that, put them below. I will try and get back to everybody as best as I can. And obviously if you want to see more from us, as I say, feel free to subscribe. There's plenty of pictures of us on Facebook as well, so if you want to check us out there, you're more than welcome to. But anyway, again, huge thank you to BSA for sending this one down for me to test. And a huge thank you to the guys at the gun room for receiving it for me. And yeah, I really like it. This is probably one of the first BSAs I've held that I could genuinely see me owning and using. So I urge you to get your pre-orders in if you want to order one with your local shop, or just go and have a look at one. Because yeah, it's changed my eyes and changed my opinion on what I think R10s are, what they were, and what they're capable of. So anyway guys, until next time, thanks for watching.